Exactly at 7 in the evening, the blood-stained cuckoo clock rings as the mysterious assassin makes his move. With the target successfully eliminated, the cold-blooded killer stands calmly over the defeated body. Since he is currently posing as a high school student named Ryu Kang-min, he notices a major issue with his new life. Lighting a cigarette, he complains that being underage prevents him from easily buying smokes in Korea. The severe nicotine withdrawal makes him regret not packing his suitcase full of tobacco before arriving. Walking down the busy street, he reflects on how much the country has transformed over the last 10 years. Modern skyscrapers and incredibly expensive sports cars now fill the roads of this futuristic-looking city. He walks past a stylish woman who is currently thinking about how much the daily lifestyle has changed over the years. The girl mentions that nothing was this big before, as the boy spots a giant yellow rubber duck floating in the river. While walking through the beautiful cherry blossom park, he watches a happy little kid run past him to find his mother. Hearing a normal family talk about going out for dinner causes the silent teen to lock his cold eyes on them. This simple interaction triggers a memory of a little boy who once mistook the falling petals for popcorn. In that hilarious flashback, the innocent kid chose a very inappropriate adult movie to watch with his parents. Returning to reality, the quiet protagonist continues walking alone down the street under the beautiful trees. A sudden electronic beep interrupts his quiet walk and ruins his peaceful mood. Reaching into his jacket, he pulls out a special tracking device and realizes it is time to get back to work. The young assassin travels up a steep hill to a crowded neighborhood while admiring the beautiful sunset. Stopping outside a tiny local supermarket, he thinks this cozy area feels like a place where normal people live. Sliding the front door open, the high schooler enters the quiet store and calls out to see if anyone is inside. Since the shop is completely empty, he decides to check out the cigarette shelf to finally satisfy his craving. While his back is turned, a mysterious figure secretly watches the teenager from the dark corners of the shop. The crouching man asks if students can smoke while the teen tries to pay with his dad's fancy black card. The stranger gives a weird look and explains that he is actually just another customer in the shop. The young boy blames his silly mistake on watching too many television shows while living in another country. They both realize they recently returned to Korea and share a highly suspicious smile in the middle of the aisle. The protagonist smiles and points out that they even share the exact same dark line of work. Suddenly, the older assassin grabs a sharp cutter knife and launches a lightning-fast attack at the teen. Dodging the strike easily, he calmly asks if the man was hired to take him out. The smiling man explains that the high schooler is a traitor who eliminated group members before escaping. Dodging the relentless strikes causes a bunch of ramen packages to fall down from the supermarket shelves. Staring at the table, the senior agent explains how their secret group assigns card colors based on rank. He reveals that the black card is for the highest agents and admits he has never actually seen one. Our hero cracks his knuckles while thanking the veteran opponent for such a wonderful compliment. While stretching his arms, the teenager gets asked why he is not holding any weapon for the fight. Lifting his hands, the young boy casually explains that airport security confiscated all his gear. Preparing for another strike, the veteran calls the elite black rank agent incredibly sloppy and lazy. Breaking off his blade, the older man explains that the first rule of their job is to always have a weapon. Flicking the sharp piece, he launches a surprise attack, but the teenager easily dodges and a drink bottle gets sliced. Grabbing our hero by the collar, the veteran agent demands to know why he chose to betray their secret organization. He says an elite killer like him received massive benefits, so there was absolutely no reason to betray the group. Looking over his shoulder, the high schooler simply points to a tin can sitting on the nearby supermarket shelf. The teenager explains that living under their rules felt exactly like being trapped inside that tiny metal container. Unmoved by the answer, the older killer immediately prepares another dangerous strike to finish the target. Grabbing the nearby tin can, our hero slices it open to block the attack and comments on his own deep metaphor. The veteran mocks his dramatic speech by asking if the young boy took a creative writing class at a local center. Sparks fly as they clash intensely while the older man admits that being a brainless hunting dog is indeed a terrible life. Dodging another fast strike, the high school student explains that his only dream was to finally be free from that hell. Both killers move at blinding speed to land a decisive blow, but a sudden red slash marks the end of their quick trade. Looking at the bleeding wound on the boy, the veteran remarks that freedom always comes with a very painful price. The veteran agent looks down and reveals that he also tried to escape, but the group ended up destroying his family. Our hero stays completely silent while learning that the association keeps tabs on everyone to prevent betrayal. Suddenly, the older killer charges forward again, but a massive cloud of white powder explodes all over the store. While looking at a dusty table, the defeated man warns the young student that his regrets are starting far too late. With a brutal slam, our protagonist brings his opponent down to the floor and completely destroys the surroundings. Staring down with a cold expression, the young teen calmly asks if the veteran is trying to say his fate is sealed. After hearing about the tragic sacrifice of those relatives, our hero shocks the defeated man by calling it a cheap price. The boy asks why the veteran decided to escape, even though he knew his family would pay the ultimate price for it. The older killer starts sharing a memory about the original store owner who looked ready to collapse one day. He remembers asking the old man to close the shop early, but the owner smiled and said he needed to feed his family. This hard-working family man dedicated his entire life to supporting his bedridden wife and young children. But the senior agent simply calls him a complete idiot before revealing the poor owner slumped over his desk. The high schooler is completely shocked to realize that the poor man was killed simply because his lifestyle was annoying. The high school student realizes that his older opponent was only trying to protect his family this whole time. He points out that the veteran kept working as a hunting dog for the organization just to keep them safe. Looking closely at his senior, the teenager calmly delivers some advice by stating that family is just a leash. Suddenly, a loud snapping noise echoes through the shop as shelves explode and send items flying everywhere. Dodging the sudden chaos, our hero declares that living on a leash forever is something he can never accept. After a blinding trade of attacks, the veteran claims he would rather end his own life than continue being bound. A sudden shock hits the older killer when the high schooler steps back and casually asks what they should do now. Walking away from the defeated man, our protagonist calmly notes that the tiny blade is just too small for the job. The older killer looks at his bleeding body in complete disbelief and wonders how the high schooler pulled this off. Pointing out the broken blade fragment, the teenager explains that his opponent should have tracked where his own weapon went. Holding the tiny metal piece, the student reminds him of the third rule of assassination, to never throw weapons carelessly. A quick flashback reveals their weapons clashing, and the veteran collapses to his knees while groaning from the deep cut. Kneeling on the ground, the injured veteran wonders if the young student was simply playing with him from the very beginning. Staring at a broken family photo on the dirty floor, the protagonist says he only wanted to find the motive of his betrayal. With a calm and steady expression, the high schooler adds that he actually had no bad intentions during their conversation. Clutching his bleeding neck, the veteran is shocked, but the teenager calmly tells him he got the entire situation wrong. Ryu Kang-min leans in and reveals that he did not actually travel back to Korea for this veteran agent. He explains that his real mission is a massive deal and requires him to risk his entire life to pull it off. Leaving the defeated man on the floor, the high schooler hopes his senior finally achieves his dream of true peace. Exactly at 7 o'clock, the blood-stained cuckoo clock rings out to signal the end of their intense battle. Stepping out of the damaged shop, the young assassin lights up a smoke and calls the tough fight a pretty decent warm-up. With the battle officially over, he decides it is finally time to start moving toward his next location. Walking away under the sunset, the teenager prepares to find the incredibly dangerous main target of his mission. While walking home under the sunset, Ryu Kang-min looks at his bloody clothes and realizes he needs a new school uniform. The next morning begins at the new school, where the young assassin is supposed to start his contract-killing mission. Inside the classroom, the students study quietly until a sudden noise at the door catches the attention of a pretty girl. The teacher looks up from the blackboard as our protagonist casually steps into the room without any hesitation. Instead of introducing himself normally, the teenager immediately asks the confused classroom if anyone has a spare cigarette. This bold move triggers a memory from 1 month ago when he infiltrated a massive mansion belonging to a powerful politician. He remembers being surrounded by dozens of armed guards while the main target mockingly asked him to just walk into his grave. The powerful target is a politician named Manuel Santos, who listens to the threat with a very calm expression. He demands the release of his terrified family since they have absolutely nothing to do with this dangerous situation. The young assassin thinks about it for a second before casually deciding to let the mother and child walk away safely. He explains his personal rule of never harming anyone besides the main target unless they decide to attack him first. Feeling relieved, the corrupt politician immediately orders all of his armed guards to prepare their weapons and open fire. The target calls our hero soft and claims he is relieved because he thought the kid came from a place called Batala. Gunshots suddenly echo through the night as the scene shifts to a massive luxury casino that caters to the wealthy. Behind this seemingly ordinary casino lies a highly secretive room containing a very special game table. A powerful man sitting on a throne notes that accepting contract killing so openly requires serious confidence. The beautiful dealer confidently assures him that even the government cannot touch their underground operation. Presenting a deck of cards, she asks the client to choose one to determine the rank of his assigned assassin. Placing his hand on a specific card, the wealthy client chooses the spade ace, which she calls an excellent choice. When she warns him about the incredibly high commission fee, he reveals a massive pile of chips worth a fortune. Holding the card up, the mysterious client demands that the job be executed immediately without any further delay. Lighting his cigarette, the teenager stands calmly in the middle of the bloodbath after taking down the guards. Approaching the crying mother and child, the young killer offers a quiet apology for ending the life of her husband. The corrupt politician pays the ultimate price for his sins as his lifeless body sits slumped against the broken glass. The scene shifts back to the modern high school building where our protagonist begins his secret infiltration mission. Walking right into the classroom, the bold transfer student instantly asks his new classmates if anyone has a smoke. The sweaty teacher feels his authority threatened and quickly tells the strange teenager to just take a seat. Smiling at the group, our hero introduces himself as Ryu Kang-min, though his official codename is Spade Ace. He lies about coming from another city to hide the fact that he was actually raised in a dark killing organization. Making up a silly excuse about college prep, he prepares to locate the extremely dangerous target hidden in the school. To pull off this secret mission without raising alarms, the young assassin has to blend in as a normal high school student. Looking around at his new classmates, the boy knows he must use this cover to approach his prey without warning. With a friendly smile on his face, he greets the class while secretly planning to eliminate everyone in his way. The scene goes back to that hidden underground casino room, where the pretty dealer explains that the target is in Seoul. The wealthy client on the throne gets surprised to learn there is a massive problem with this highly expensive contract. He asks what kind of crazy nonsense this is, since the mysterious sender only gave them a single name to go on. The blonde dealer places a blank document on the table and explains that absolutely no other details were ever provided. Our protagonist finds the situation highly interesting because he already did a lot of research beforehand. He finally locates classroom class 17, which belongs to his dangerous target. Opening the sliding door, he discovers that his target is not even coming to school today. While walking away, a tattooed student stops him and complains about the boy blocking the hallway. With a single effortless move, the annoying bully gets sent flying straight into the wall. The loud crash quickly attracts the attention of a pretty girl and the other students nearby. They all watch in shock as the mysterious new transfer student calmly stands there without a single scratch. The protagonist calmly replies that he has no friends while secretly wondering if he needs to use his second plan. Stepping outside behind the school building, he finally lights up a cigarette and takes a very deep breath. The students are highly impressed by his cool style and ask if he really transferred from another city. The tattooed leader crouches down and asks if the new student knows the strongest fighter in that area. To build his fake identity, the teen invents a wild story about partying with that famous local legend. Believing every single word of the lie, the tough gang leader extends his hand and offers to be friends. Accepting the offer, our hero walks home under the beautiful sunset with his very first crew in the country. Walking together under the sunset, his classmates complain about having to attend a boring academy after school. Standing alone by the street, the young assassin watches his new friends board the yellow shuttle van. This ordinary scene triggers a painful memory of the day he got separated from his parents as a terrified child. Shouting voices filled the dark harbor as mysterious men shoved the young boy onto a cargo boat. Standing in the shadows, the strangers decided to take the quiet kid to a mysterious place called Angelos. Returning to the present, the teenager wonders if his current high school life could actually become real. His deep thoughts are suddenly interrupted when someone grabs his arm to avoid falling over. A pretty girl smiles warmly while holding on to him and casually says that she almost tripped on the street. Walking together under the sunset, the pretty girl named Ha Yeon suggests that they should hang out to relieve some stress. Led by his new classmate, the young assassin enters a mysterious room that is filled with cozy pink lighting. Sitting on a surprisingly soft bed, the boy gets confused when she suddenly starts taking off her outer school jacket. Pointing out a gaming console and a shelf full of instant ramen, she explains that they can find absolute comfort here. With a gentle blush on her face, the girl drops her clothes onto the floor and tells him to choose what he likes. Leaning incredibly close to his face, the student asks him what he wants to do first while the boy freezes in shock. Suddenly, several angry bullies jump out of the shadows with their flashing phone cameras to trap him in a massive scam. Loud laughter erupts in the room as the group records the boy, and the pretty girl brags about her amazing acting skills. Sitting quietly on the bed, the young boy pretends to be confused while the tattooed gang leader steps forward to confront him. With a smug look, the tough guy reveals a phone photo of the exact local legend the new student claimed to party with. Hearing about a severe liver condition, the boy gets caught in his own lie since that famous fighter cannot drink alcohol. To make matters worse, the group explains they called their friend, who has no idea who the new student is. While attempting to make a silly excuse, the young assassin gets quickly cut off by the annoyed crew. Without waiting for another word, one of the bullies steps up and delivers a sudden slap right across his face. Looking down at the quiet teenager, the bully declares that from now on the boy will serve as their automatic door. The nasty bullies grab his shirt collar and tear it open to humiliate him in front of the cameras. Instead of crying, the young student stands up calmly and leaves the gang members completely frozen in shock. Back at the secret casino, the powerful client looks at the vague request and decides to decline the contract. He complains that hunting someone with only a common name in Korea is an absolute waste of his precious time. Staring at his return flight tickets, the skilled killer knows he must go back to his base once the job is finished. The man worries that his strong desire to protect his loved ones might force him to go against the group rules. The young boy remembers when the beautiful dealer promised him complete freedom if he succeeded. He threw his weapon down back then while wondering if he could finally live a normal life. Returning to reality, the scammers suddenly freeze in absolute terror as they look at his body. Everyone is completely stunned to see the massive combat scars covering his entire torso. Smiling calmly, the protagonist recalls his strict rule of only fighting back when someone strikes first. Since they dared to lay a hand on him, he decides it is time to unleash his dangerous alternative plan. With a single swift counter, he sends the arrogant gang leader crashing straight into the floor. The classmates are completely shocked by his sudden display of strength. Standing over the defeated bully, he calmly tells the rest of the gang to step up. Adjusting his sleeves, our protagonist reveals his scars and prepares to finish the rest of them. This situation triggers a memory from 6 years ago on a private island called Kamatayan. During his harsh training as Trainee 55, the boy was chained to a heavy tire underwater. With only minutes remaining, his lungs started to burn as he struggled to break free from the metal bounds. Splitting the thick chains with his raw power, the young assassin managed to escape his watery grave. Collapsing onto the beach, the young boy barely survives with a tiny octopus resting on his head. Walking slowly along the sandy shore, he quietly thanks his grandmother for keeping him alive. Suddenly, a cold gun barrel touches his head because the cruel instructor says he failed the time limit by 1 minute. The boy prepares to meet his fate, but a sudden gunshot rings out and echoes through the entire island. Instead of dying, the clever trainee somehow manages to turn the tables and holds his instructor at gunpoint. The shocked trainer praises his professional mindset for utilizing nearby objects to escape a fatal situation. The kid casually replies that he only moved because he knew the first chamber of the gun contains a harmless blank. The strict instructor loads real bullets to raise the stakes while the young trainee prepares to fire his weapon. Leaving that brutal training island behind, our hero reflects on how peaceful life in South Korea truly feels. Since his current opponents are just ordinary high school students, he decides that he should not blindly end their lives. After buttoning his shirt, the teenager plans to handle the situation carefully, while the main bully starts sweating in fear. To make the fight look fair, the clever protagonist picks up his broken buttons to create a perfect excuse for defending himself. While the young boy worries about his new uniform, the furious bully grabs a nearby fire extinguisher and swings it wildly. Dodging the heavy blow easily, our hero calmly asks if his angry opponent has good medical insurance to cover the upcoming pain. The protagonist effortlessly blocks the heavy metal fire extinguisher using nothing but his bare hands. Feeling quite generous, he grabs the arrogant gang leader and prepares to deliver some painful discipline. With a single powerful slam, the young assassin crushes his opponent right through the thick wooden bed. The remaining scammers watch in absolute horror as their leader lies completely unconscious on the floor. Walking forward slowly, the young teen has a very important question to ask the trembling classmates. The high schooler asks about their other friend who always skips school and never shows up to class. Cornering the terrified group, the quiet killer asks if there is any reason they should hide the location. The terrified bully panics and runs straight into the bathroom to escape the scary high schooler. Slamming the door shut, he gets terrified when the young killer calmly opens it and tells him to come closer. Entering the quiet bathroom, the protagonist wonders where the boy went when a nearby door suddenly squeaks. Suddenly, another gang member sneaks up behind the teen and wraps a metal hose tightly around his neck. The running bully laughs and brags about his amazing acting skills while dreaming of winning a major film award. With a single flex of his neck, the assassin easily shatters the metal pipe into pieces. The classmates freeze in shock while the young boy explains that he is also quite good at acting in thriller movies. With a devastating counter, the young protagonist completely destroys the bathroom and sends his opponent flying. Sprayed water from the broken pipe drenches the unconscious bully, who is completely defeated on the bathroom floor. Terrified by the scene, the girl screams in panic and begs her companion to run away using a nearby scooter. Standing with his open shirt, the protagonist demands answers while his classmate desperately slaps her partner. Grabbing the door handle, the tattooed fighter mentions that he was once a top prospect for a national team. He clutches the metal knob tightly while thinking about the massive prizes and glory that were almost in his grasp. The muscular boy looks back and explains his career ended after he went too far and severely injured an opponent. Getting extremely excited to finally face a strong rival, the bully yells his name and launches a fierce attack. Loud thumping noises shake the walls of a nearby room where another couple is currently resting. Believing it is just some competitive neighbors, the young man decides to hit the wall back to make even more noise. Suddenly, the entire partition shatters into pieces as a massive body comes crashing straight through the concrete. The neighbors stare in absolute shock while the tattooed gang leader lies completely defeated in the middle of the debris. Stepping through the dust, the young protagonist calmly sighs about how bad the modern construction quality is nowadays. Terrified by this monstrous power, the girl who set up the camera scam immediately runs away to save her own life. She desperately rattles the door handle in total panic, but the locked entrance refuses to budge even a tiny bit. A dark shadow suddenly looms behind her as the elite killer politely points out that she needs to push the door to open it. Crying on the floor, the terrified girl begs for mercy while the protagonist smiles and says he will not hit her. Kneeling down, he gently holds her face and asks for a favor to easily turn her into an obedient helper. The young boy begins by asking about the mysterious held-back student who always skips classes. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a dark building where a secret group keeps rows of stacked files and boxes. A smartphone screen shows a massive online wallet with over $1 million stacking up from their business. The shady boss enjoys some fresh sashimi and notes that both food and people are best when they are fresh. His loyal henchmen agree with a smile while sitting around a table filled with expensive food and drinks. Holding up his phone, the shady boss laughs because their scam video has completely overloaded their server traffic. He enjoys some fresh food while celebrating the massive fortune they are making from this simple basement office. One of the tattooed henchmen worries that the local police might soon track them down because of the online activity. Smiling calmly, the boss explains that their servers are routed overseas, so even the government cannot find them. Just as he boasts about being completely invisible, a sudden knocking sound echoes from the front door. The room goes quiet as the group stares in confusion at the dark silhouette standing outside the room. Hoping it is just a simple delivery, the boss orders his bald henchman to go over and open it up. The bald henchman opens the door and finds a mysterious teenager wearing a strange jacket with a cartoon bunny design. Looking closely at the visitor, the boss remarks that the kid with blonde hair does not look like a police officer at all. A group of muscular thugs quickly surrounds the blonde boy and demands to know which neighborhood gang he belongs to. The calm teen simply tells them to delete the video immediately while the massive boss mockingly tells him to get lost. The other gang members join in on the laughter and joke that the kid is about to completely ruin his clean pants from fear. A sudden high-speed strike flashes through the dark room before the laughing thugs can even process what is happening. One of the henchmen falls to his knees in pure agony while clutching his side and shouting that he cannot hear anything. Before anyone can react, the young assassin pulls out a gun and quickly takes down the bald henchman. The remaining thugs immediately freeze in terror when they realize the high schooler is holding a real firearm. With blood splattered on his face, the teenage killer coldly orders them to delete the internet video right now. The shady boss panics at his table, since he never expected a kid to carry such a dangerous weapon. A tattooed thug tries to sneak attack the boy from behind but gets shut down with a lightning-fast shot. Looking completely unfazed by the chaos, the protagonist calmly repeats his order to take down the post. The remaining guys try to convince themselves that the weapon is fake and run forward to attack him together. Mirroring the cartoon rabbit on his jacket, the elite agent pulls out a second gun and easily defeats both of them. A final devastating kick sends the last thug crashing onto the hard concrete floor. Standing silently in the middle of the room, our protagonist looks down at the defeated gang members. The terrified boss desperately opens his secret safe and packs his stolen cash into a large black bag. Suddenly, the young assassin presses his gun against the man and orders him to take down the post. Sweating in fear, the boss offers to completely remove the hard drive containing the footage from the system. He then asks if our hero was hired by the poor victim who was targeted in the scam. The teenager stares back and reveals that the high school student in the video is actually himself. The terrified boss stares at the tiny gun barrel before the young assassin shoots and splatters red stains over the food. Later that night, the scene shifts to a quiet neighborhood where our hero finally returns to his dark bedroom. Looking inside the closet, we see his school uniform neatly hanging with the fake student name tag attached. Moving down a dark set of concrete stairs, we discover a secret basement belonging to a man named Jang Yoon-soo. Since real firearms are strictly illegal in the country, he spends his time carefully assembling a weapon by hand. After locking the pieces together, he notes that his massive arsenal is actually made of highly modified toy guns. The skilled gunsmith finishes his project and boasts that his modified weapons are just as good as real ones. Meanwhile, the young protagonist crouches in a park and demands a cigarette from the beaten-up bullies. The terrified gang leader quickly steps forward with a lighter to serve his powerful new boss. Sitting in a circle, the pretty classmate asks why they were suddenly summoned to this empty playground. The young assassin gets straight to the point and asks about the mysterious student who skips class. The atmosphere quickly turns heavy, and the terrified students struggle to find the right words to speak. Breaking his cigarette, the teenager wonders if something terrible happened to that dangerous target in the past. The gunsmith remembers his brutal past as a killer before trying to blend in as a normal student. At a local shooting range, the pretty girl gets extremely annoyed by the terrible quality of their rental toy gun. While complaining to the other gang members, she points out a weird elephant plushie that she really wants to win. Hearing this, the 20-year-old returning student named Jang Hyun-soo steps up and calmly takes the weapon. He casually lies about this being his very first time shooting, while easily hitting the targets with perfect precision. The pretty classmate watches in absolute awe as the young man continues to land every single shot without any effort. The nearby bullies get completely mind-blown by his legendary shooting skills as he easily wins the grand prize for her. The happy girl grabs his arm to thank him and playfully promises to give him a special reward later. She happily spins her new toy while the gunsmith gets distracted, thinking about what that reward could actually mean. The jealous blonde guy holds the toy gun and grumbles that being a good shot is not even a big deal. The scene shifts to a subway station, where the black-haired girl from the scam stands feeling incredibly annoyed. She wonders why the young assassin is taking such a deep interest in that quiet gunsmith. A mysterious guy in a matching leather jacket suddenly approaches her and mockingly asks who she is talking to. She complains about their matching outfits before asking why he called her out to this quiet station on a weekend. The girl recalls the deal they made back at the Room Cafe, where the young assassin asked her for a favor. Now she is walking with him as he asks this supposed city girl to show him around the best spots in town. She finds the situation highly ridiculous, since she originally feared this terrifying fighter would do something dangerous. Instead, the quiet teenager looks completely normal and friendly as he asks her if they should grab some food first. While walking down the street, the high school student mentions that his phone algorithm recommended an amazing restaurant. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure hides in the corner and secretly takes photos of the two students using a smartphone. Arriving at the location, the girl gets completely shocked to see an enormous table filled with 80 different dishes. The pretty classmate teases him by saying his taste in restaurants is absolutely terrible for a first date. Our hero looks down and admits that he never had proper friends before, so he had no idea what to choose. Sensing his sadness, the girl puts some food on his bowl and tells him to just shut up and enjoy the meal. Both of them happily enjoy the massive feast, while the boy jokes about the delicious meat being fried iguana. The boy gently wipes her face while the stalker secretly takes another close photo of them from the shadows. They later visit a local alpaca cafe where a wild animal suddenly spits water right onto the protagonist. The teen gets furious at the crazy alpaca while the secret stalker keeps snapping hilarious photos of them. The two classmates head over to a modern art gallery where the young boy hopes to experience some deep culture. He stops in front of a white urinal while thinking the strange exhibition is actually a profound masterpiece. The girl gets completely speechless when she realizes they actually wandered straight into a bathroom products expo. After leaving the museum, they visit a luxury store where the boy keeps taking endless photos of his pretty companion. She eventually tells him to stop because his storage of 1,024 terabytes is completely full. As the night falls, the girl admits that she really enjoyed spending the entire day exploring the city with him. The young boy smiles and suggests one final activity before they officially call it a night. He points toward a nearby street shooting gallery and asks her if she wants to try a round of target practice. Looking at the target, the girl wonders if the young boy can match the legendary shooting skills of the famous gunsmith. The smiling owner of the booth explains the simple rules and proudly declares that winning a prize is not easy. The owner secretly laughs because he rigged the gun sights so even an elite soldier would miss every single shot. Holding the heavy weapon, our hero instantly notices the bad sights and proposes a new bet to win the elephant plushie. He aims the gun and requests another special favor if he somehow manages to land a perfect score. The owner thinks it is impossible, but loud popping sounds echo as the young boy rapidly hits every single target. Both the pretty classmate and the scamming owner stare in absolute shock as the entire board is completely cleared. The booth owner sweats in fear as the high schooler pretends to be a total beginner while offering his friend a turn. He gently guides his classmate on how to hold the rifle while a secret stalker snaps a sweet photo of them. Later that night, the teenager walks back home while complaining about the incredibly ugly plushie she received. Looking at her smartphone, she realizes his favor was simply to post their picture together on social media. Riding the elevator, she scoffingly wonders if the quiet boy is trying to win her heart with obvious tricks. She recalls him wiping sauce off her lips and taking endless pictures of her with that goofy smile. The student thinks about his innocent behavior and wonders if he truly believes such cute actions would work on her. Blushing deeply, she squeezes the weird toy tightly and whispers that the mysterious teen is just so annoying. A mysterious person scrolls through the social media photos of the young couple hanging out together. The pretty girl gets a massive shock when a scary classmate suddenly blocks her path inside the elevator. Entering her dark apartment, she drops her new plushie on the floor as fear completely takes over. The uninvited guest corners her and grabs her neck while complaining about how late she stayed out tonight. Looking around the small room, the dangerous boy mentions that this place brings back some very old memories. A quick flashback reveals a time when the entire gang used to hang out and drink together in that exact room. The gang starts partying and drinking heavily inside the apartment while the girl warns them to behave. She comments on how reliable the blonde guy seems, and he confidently tells her to trust him completely. After empty bottles pile up on the floor, the entire group of friends ends up completely passed out. The young girl also falls fast asleep on her bed after the long day of drinking. Seeing everyone asleep, the creepy guy slowly approaches her bed and whispers her name. He leans extremely close to her sleeping face with a highly suspicious look in his eyes. Suddenly, a loud and terrifying scream echoes from the apartment building into the dark night. Standing over the coughing girl, the angry teenager blames her report for completely ruining his entire life. Clinging to the floor, the girl defends herself by reminding him that he was actually the creepy offender back then. Hearing this accusation makes the delusional guy even more furious as he claims she was actually leading him on. He recalls his memories of her acting incredibly friendly and constantly sweet, talking him in front of their friends. Pointing his glowing phone screen at her, the boy claims she is repeating the exact same behavior today. He reveals the social media photo with our hero and claims she only posted it to make him jealous. The girl stares in total disbelief, while the crazy boy points out that they even went target shooting together. Ha-yeon gets extremely angry and slaps the crazy boy across the face for talking nonsense. The delusional guy gets even more upset and violently kicks her new elephant plushie across the room. The girl reveals she has been secretly training with a weapon just to prepare for their next meeting. The crazy boy suddenly grabs her hair while laughing like a complete psychopath. He quickly covers her mouth with a rag to stop her from screaming and calling for help. Meanwhile, a mysterious mastermind smiles about hiring paparazzi to capture photos of the two students. The hired thugs confirm they successfully uploaded all the secret dating photos onto social media. The mastermind sighs while expressing his deep hatred for our young protagonist. The beaten bullies complain about their ridiculous errands, while wondering why the young assassin went to all this trouble. The crazy stalker enters the secret room and uses the unconscious girl as bait to lure the quiet gunsmith into a trap. The dangerous intruder mocks the gunsmith and asks if he really came all this way just to save his pretty classmate. With a creepy smile, the delusional boy suddenly pulls out a real firearm and prepares to eliminate his rival. A loud gunshot echoes through the room, but the quiet gunsmith easily dodges the attack without showing any fear. The crazy shooter aims his weapon again, while claiming the pretty girl will finally belong to him. Moving at blinding speed, the skilled gunsmith easily disarms his opponent and asks why he wants the girl so badly. The crazy stalker proposes a shooting bet to decide who gets to keep the girl as their ultimate prize. The gunsmith calmly holds his weapon and warns his opponent that a single shot from it means instant death. Later, the angry stalker discovers that a weird video of him flexing has somehow been leaked online. He immediately blames the cheap phone repairman for stealing his data and vows to get some brutal revenge. A mysterious man in a sharp suit suddenly appears in his room and notes that the video is already a massive hit. The terrified stalker demands to know his identity while the guest comfortably sits down on a chair. The stylish visitor mockingly points out all the cameras the boy used to record himself posing in bed. Examining the weapon, the suited man smiles and says the crazy teen is the perfect target to start a big fight. The blonde teen gets extremely annoyed and demands to know the identity of this uninvited guest in his room. Pointing at the recording setup, the suited stranger explains that they make huge money from viral scandals online. He reveals that his job is to search for dangerous people who can help their secret group called the Network. Smiling calmly, the man notes that the young boy has amazing potential and invites him to join their operation. Returning to the active hostage situation, the crazy boy proposes a shooting contest to decide who gets the girl. The dark-haired rival calmly raises his own weapon and warns that it only takes a single shot to end a life. Looking completely unfazed by the threat, the mysterious fighter tells the trembling teenager to go ahead and take his shot. The stalker mockingly asks if he is scared before a sudden shot sends him crashing straight onto the floor. Clutching his bruised head, the boy screams in pain while the gunsmith realizes they are only using rubber bullets. The embarrassed shooter deeply regrets ordering his ammunition from a shady online store. Reaching into his leather jacket, the crazy teenager quickly pulls out his backup weapon to save face. A sudden live round flashes past the gunsmith, who easily dodges the incredibly obvious surprise attack. Staring at the massive damage, the dark-haired hero wonders if a regular kid could actually build such dangerous gear. The shattered toy bear shows the sheer power of the gun, while the crazy teen asks who originally built the device. The crazy stalker fires another shot, but the skilled gunsmith easily dodges and praises the amazing accuracy of the weapon. The dark-haired fighter notes that the teen avoided prison despite his record, which means a powerful group is backing him. This backing group is the Network, a massive criminal organization in Korea that uses students scattered across the country. Because they operate as a highly decentralized point organization, tracking down their members is next to impossible. Despite the difficulty, our young protagonist is determined to find them since his true mission is tied to this syndicate. The files verify that his main target is hidden deep within this network and must be eliminated to complete his contract. Suddenly, the gunsmith closes the distance at blinding speed and asks the terrified stalker if he thinks this is a joke. The angry teenager lunges forward while complaining that his opponent stole his girl and ruined his life. Hearing a sudden sound from the kitchen counter causes the skilled fighter to quickly turn around. The delusional stalker aims his weapon and confidently claims that his rival is about to die. In a sudden twist, the quiet boy draws his own weapon and points it directly at the shocked attacker. A barrage of shots hits the aggressive teen, leaving several painful circular bruises all over his face. Another powerful shot sends the bully crashing backward while his smartphone gets completely shattered. Picking up a fresh can of soda, the calm young man asks the defeated fighter if he still wants to keep going. The defeated stalker tries to defend himself by claiming that he is not actually the bad guy in this situation. He remembers staring at his phone and getting completely ignored after sending endless messages to the pretty classmate. The delusional teen felt betrayed because she once praised his shooting skills and told him that it looked cool. He spent endless hours practicing with toy weapons in his room just to make her happy before feeling rejected. The quiet gunsmith sips his soda and comments on how that is a highly creative way to view the situation. Pointing his weapon at the dark-haired rival, the crazy stalker declares his deep love for the unconscious girl. The delusional boy raises his gun while screaming that he loves her purely with absolutely everything he has. Reaching into his jacket, the crazy stalker draws two guns and declares that nobody else can have her. The crying teen is ready to end everything and promises they will get married in the next life. Heavy gunfire suddenly erupts in the room as bullets shatter the glass and fly everywhere. Exhausted from his wild attack, the breathing stalker stands with smoking weapons in his hands. Our hero uses a highly durable local refrigerator to block all the incoming shots easily. While keeping the girl safe, our hero looks out, and the shocked stalker wonders who this savior is. Staring at the wreckage, the shooter wonders why the brave hero would jump into a hail of bullets just to save a single girl. Looking around the messy room, the stalker gets a weird idea and asks if they were doing something inappropriate inside. Leaning close to the pretty girl, the protagonist looks back with a cold stare and jokingly says he is too embarrassed to tell. Getting completely triggered by the teasing response, the furious bully screams in anger and charges forward with his weapon. With a lightning-fast counter, the young assassin shatters the weapon into tiny pieces before his opponent can even react. Drops of red liquid fall to the floor as the shocked stalker screams in pure agony after losing a finger in the clash. Smiling calmly, the protagonist covers his mouth and warns him to stay quiet unless he wants to lose his entire hand. The young assassin shows his 9mm handgun and warns the crying target that the next round is real. Sweating in fear, the trembling stalker desperately begs for mercy while staring down the dark barrel of the gun. Sensing immediate danger, the crazy teenager panics and runs away as fast as his legs can carry him. Watching his target escape, the quiet high schooler thinks the boy should have made the choice to flee much earlier. The scene shifts to a bright city street where a colorful sign advertises a local maid cafe to the crowd. A cute promoter wearing a maid outfit with cat ears happily stands outside, trying to welcome some guests. The running stalker suddenly bumps right into the girl and violently screams at her to get out of his way. The fleeing stalker looks back in terror as the quiet assassin continues to stalk him through the busy city streets. Bumping into random pedestrians, the panicked teenager screams out to find why he is being hunted like a wild animal. Tears stream down his face as he desperately tries to claim that he was actually the victim of a terrible scam. Looking at his phone, our hero calmly notes that they arrived at a crowded plaza much faster than he originally anticipated. With a quick tap on his device, the young protagonist prepares to connect his smartphone to a giant electronic billboard. Suddenly, the massive screen lights up to show a highly embarrassing video of the running stalker to the entire city. Pedestrians stop in their tracks and start pointing at the giant display while whispering some highly hilarious jokes. Looking at the crowd, the humiliated teenager stands completely frozen on the street while his dark secrets are exposed. Desperately trying to defend himself, the humiliated teenager screams that the video is showing a total lie. Looking across the busy street, he finally spots our protagonist holding the device and realizes who is behind this. Meanwhile, the pedestrian crossing light quickly blinks before turning into a solid red stop signal. Furious and distracted, the blonde boy blindly runs onto the street to force the young assassin to delete the post. Suddenly, a massive white truck crashes straight into the running teen and sends him flying through the air. Bystanders cover their mouths in total shock as they witness the unexpected collision in the middle of the road. People stare at the giant screen and whisper among themselves while wondering if the poor boy actually survived. Watching the chaos from a safe distance, our hero calmly notes that he never planned for such a tragic conclusion. Looking down at the chaotic accident scene, the young assassin calmly thinks that the bully got exactly what he deserved. The next morning at school, the students gossiped about the classmate getting hit by a truck and becoming famous online. Some guys joke about their school finally producing a celebrity, while the dark-haired girl turns around to mock them. The young female student feels extremely annoyed about the situation, while suffering from a terrible headache. She struggles to remember the chaotic night and only recalls the dangerous stalker grabbing her before she blacked out. A blurry memory of a savior blocking bullets with a durable local fridge makes her suspect that her new friend was there. A dark silhouette slowly approaches the girl and wonders if she is already awake. A strange man wearing glasses reveals that he is currently cleaning up her house along with all of her memories. Looking up silently, the confused classmate thinks that this entire situation feels incredibly weird. Meanwhile, our protagonist walks down a dark street while complaining that no local shop will sell him cigarettes. He regrets being set as a 17-year-old since he has to quit smoking and eventually go to the military again. Suddenly, a cold voice calls out his name, and the young assassin turns to see the suited man waiting in the dark. The suited stranger apologizes for the surprise and brings up the massive billboard hack from last night. He hands over a dark card and introduces their secret syndicate, which is famously known as the Network. The young assassin stares back calmly, while thinking that this entire situation is incredibly predictable. The stranger explains that any major incident involving their group members always forces them to take action. He offers the teen a job to create more chaos, and the young boy jokingly praises his own great sense of style. The normal plan is to start from the very bottom of the organization and work his way up to find the target. He notes that a scouter is always a high-ranking member who has direct communication with the big boss himself. The recruiter holds out a packaged weapon and demands to be taken straight to the big boss. Meanwhile, a gorgeous blonde woman relaxes inside a traditional room while carefully trimming some colorful flowers. Holding up a beautiful hibiscus flower, the lady begins to explain its special hidden meaning to her guest. Sitting on the windowsill, the young assassin jokingly interrupts by saying it actually means a nice backside. The girl gets extremely annoyed while the teenager blames his silly source of information on an online AI assistant. Suddenly, she slams her shears down and launches them like a deadly projectile at the uninvited visitor. The sharp metal pierces his passport as she recognizes him by his legendary codename of Spade Ace. Sitting on the couch, the gorgeous woman ignores his silly jokes and demands to know the real reason for his visit. Dropping his new passport on the table, the young assassin reveals that the document has his actual birth name on it. The lady explains that completing this final mission will allow him to abandon his codename and live a free life. The teen finds this promise of freedom suspicious since his previous dangerous contracts were always paid in cash. He picks up a red rose while wondering why the target in Korea is suddenly worth such an incredibly high reward. Opening a nearby wooden drawer, she replies that they should not debate the mysterious decisions of the high command. She hands over a newly arrived fax explaining that she planned to deliver it after his arrival. The document reveals that the target created a secret group and the boy must contact one of its student members. Looking at the profile of the young targets, he jokingly wonders if they want him to play house at school. Holding a red rose, the blonde lady warns that the group is rooted deep in the dark shadows of the city. Back in the dark streets, the young assassin holds a hidden weapon and demands to see the local boss right away. The suited recruiter stands firm and immediately declares that meeting his superior is completely impossible. Smiling calmly, the teenager begins to move with incredible speed because he is not there to make empty threats. The recruiter gets caught off guard, but tries to act cool by adjusting his suit and asking about the weapon. Holding the black pistol, the teen wonders how the older recruiter instantly knew it was just a fake weapon. Smiling calmly, the suited recruiter explains that a normal teenager in this country would never be able to get a real gun. He points out the cheap paint job along with the squeaking spring sounds to prove his extensive experience with weapons. After showing off his knowledge, the recruiter asks if he can ask a highly important question of his own. Taking a slow step forward, the man with glasses demands to know the main goal behind approaching their secret network. The young assassin suddenly rubs his ear and complains that the creepy whisper gave him massive goosebumps. The recruiter panics when he discovers the young boy tracked down his home and quickly schedules a meeting for tomorrow. Walking away, the man senses something extremely odd about those toy weapons and wonders why they smell like actual gunpowder. Staring at the shiny badge, our protagonist realizes this recruiter is actually a highly dangerous professional killer. Inside a quiet apartment, the open closet light shines on a bedroom where secret preparations are taking place. The clean school uniform hangs in the dark as the mysterious syndicate notes the elite teen finally made contact. Their advanced software tracks the communication data and prepares to initiate the next phase of the operation. This organization uses high school students and various disguises to generate massive profit from national chaos. A mysterious man sits in his dark office while examining a massive board filled with linked files. He slowly peels open a sweet chocolate egg while thinking about how easily people get deceived. A hidden capsule inside the treat represents how the illegal student syndicate covers its tracks. The blonde woman stretches while noting that this network operates similarly to their own casino. She explains that using young minors as a front is the perfect way to bypass the local police. The lady wonders if this shadowy group is actually the legendary organization known as Batala. She looks back in surprise that our hero managed to get the attention of such a dangerous crew. The protagonist analyzes a giant board filled with clues but realizes he is still far from tracking his main prey. The primary target of his entire mission is a highly mysterious individual who goes by the name of Lee San. To reach this dangerous criminal, the young assassin knows he needs to make the entire process move much faster. Looking at a toy figure, he regrets that the stalker got hit by a truck before revealing any useful information. Meanwhile, a local hospital television broadcasts news about the massive billboard hack that shocked the whole city. Resting in his hospital bed, the injured stalker gets extremely furious because the police failed to arrest the hacker. The mysterious doctor finds the situation highly amusing, while the bandaged teenager wonders why the hacker targeted him. Stalker is terrified and explains that the high schooler had a real firearm during their fight. Hearing this shocking news causes the mysterious doctor to look down with a highly suspicious smile on his face. Disappointed by the lack of useful details, the quiet man pulls out a dark syringe and injects a mysterious red liquid. With a creepy grin, he informs the terrified patient that his role in this world is officially over. Staring at the changing IV bag, the injured teen starts to panic and wonders if this person is even a real doctor. The fake medical worker calmly steps back while talking about how this incident will make a very interesting headline. He plans to frame the situation as a tragic passing of a staff member to easily cover up his dark tracks. The injured teenager gets a massive shock when he hears that his official cause of death will be labeled as drug abuse. Struggling wildly against the tight handcuffs, the terrified boy demands to be untied and asks who the doctor really is. The mysterious medical worker calmly prepares to introduce himself as a member of the very group that hired the stalker. Holding up a small metal emblem, the suspicious guest finally reveals his affiliation with the secret group called the Network. Suddenly, the toxic liquid starts taking full effect and the trapped teen begins to shake violently on his hospital bed. While the poison takes away his final breath, the cold killer watches the process and notes how interesting the reaction looks. Leaving the silent victim behind, the scene shifts back to the busy streets of the giant city as a normal day begins. Ryu Kang-min arrives at the meeting spot right on time but finds himself standing completely alone on the street. A messy-haired teenager suddenly runs up from behind and apologizes for being late to their scheduled appointment. The newcomer reveals that he is actually representing the network, which completely confuses our young protagonist. The young assassin gets suspicious and wonders if this group is just a cheap pyramid scheme trying to scam him. The student smiles and presses a remote key to reveal a massive luxury car that will serve as their special escort. Our hero is so amazed by the rich lifestyle that he literally starts licking the shiny hood ornament of the car. The contact sweat drops at this weird behavior and quickly tells the boy to get inside so they can start driving. Ryu Kang-min loses his cool persona and screams in pure excitement as the expensive vehicle speeds down the highway. The crazy contact speeds down the highway while screaming about the insane power of their twin-turbo engine. The driver casually waves off the danger, but the young assassin sits in the passenger seat worrying about a crash. He calmly describes a horrific road accident scenario where their bodies get completely crushed under other vehicles. The driver gets creeped out by this morbid speech and asks if his passenger spent his free time studying death. Looking down, the young boy notes that his new companion should actually understand that concept better than anyone else. The teenager tries to play dumb with a smile, but the driver quickly points out his terrible acting skills. The mood turns incredibly serious when the driver suddenly calls him the elite killer known as Spade Ace from Batala. The young protagonist gets completely caught off guard by these words and asks what his companion just said. Reaching out his hand, the mysterious companion suggests that they should introduce themselves properly first. With a creepy smile, the driver finally reveals that he is actually the main target named Lee San. The assistant with glasses confirms that all the messy evidence from the studio apartment has been cleared. He holds up a picture of the female witness and says they used a special drug to erase her memories. Looking at the report, the gray-haired boss notes that internal bleeding can still happen without any bruises. The leader laughs and admits he learned all this medical stuff from watching television shows all night. Taking a selfie with his assistant, he explains that he did a lot of research on the quiet transfer student. He reveals that all of the teenager's school records and basic files were completely fake. After contacting a broker, they discovered that this ordinary kid is actually an elite contract killer. The gray-haired boss is completely shocked to hear that their new target is a professional contract killer. The goofy leader makes a weird joke about pudding, but his assistant quickly shoots down his silly humor. A sudden flickering light matches the heavy tension as the assistant mentions a legendary group called Batala. Hearing that infamous name sends a massive wave of shock through the room as they try to process the news. Instead of being scared, the boss laughs and mockingly says he wants to meet this famous killer to get his autograph. Meanwhile, the white luxury car speeds down the open highway while the driver looks down at his expensive watch. The young driver turns around with a creepy smile and finally reveals his true identity as the main target, Lee San. Hearing the name of his main prey makes the young assassin instantly recall his official mission profile. The quiet teenager stares in absolute disbelief as he processes this shocking revelation in the middle of the ride. Leaning closer, the smiling driver asks if our hero is currently planning to eliminate him right inside the vehicle. He points out that he would never meet a legendary killer from Batala without taking proper precautions. Suddenly, a convoy of massive black vehicles completely surrounds their luxury car on the busy highway. Glaring back, the opponent warns his dangerous passenger that any aggressive move will end very badly for him. Pulling down his collar, the mysterious leader proudly reveals a special spade logo printed on his clothing. A wave of confusion hits the high schooler when he recognizes the exact symbol representing his own codename. The high schooler smiles while realizing that his current situation is actually getting pretty bad. Meanwhile, at a local coffee shop, a mysterious envelope with a spade symbol rests on a wooden table. A beautiful support agent named Heart 3 mentions that she only made his fake identity sloppy on purpose. Holding her teacup, the pretty agent asks her boss why they allowed such major errors in the paperwork. The blonde leader explains that the young assassin needed to quickly force the secret organization to reveal itself. The silver-haired girl understands the plan to make the enemies curious, but wonders what the teen will do next. She worries that our hero might end up completely torn apart once the syndicate finds his location. Preparing her sweet drink, the blonde lady calmly asks if her companion knows the secret to perfectly tricking someone. The pretty agent explains that the best way to trick someone is by mixing a small lie directly into the absolute truth. While the giant vehicles surround them on the highway, the target confidently claims he knows all about his passenger. He mockingly points out that the young high schooler is currently being hunted down by the dangerous group. The driver continues to talk about his escape, while the young assassin remains completely silent. Knowing the stage is perfectly set, the teenager decides to play along by weaving a clever story. He prepares to protect his real identity by mixing his actual past events with some fake details. The young assassin starts his fake story by describing a final mission that was supposed to earn his retirement. The protagonist explains that his old organization sent killers to hunt him down the moment he returned home. Hearing this, the driver wonders why a runaway fugitive is actively trying to stand out in the city. The young assassin calmly explains that making a scene was the only way to get a meeting with their leader. He mentions his dangerous former group will always chase him and notes he needs a powerful shield to stay safe. The high schooler offers to work for their team if they can guarantee his safety from those deadly hunters. The boss notes they are mostly just students, but our hero mockingly asks if he visited the wrong organization. Scooping up some delicious pudding, he reminds the driver that their network is actually a dangerous group of killers. The blonde leader explains that the young student gang members are just a temporary shield to hide their crimes. Heart 3 wonders if their hero will get caught in the chaos, while her boss remains completely calm. Smiling proudly, the blonde lady explains that her absolute trust lies in the strength of her top agent. Back in the speeding luxury car, the target mentions the legendary killer from Batala joining their syndicate. The high schooler jokes about avoiding sweets, while the driver glares back at him with a highly dangerous expression. Scooping up some delicious pudding, our hero mentions that too much sugar can easily ruin a person's teeth. Suddenly, several massive black vehicles completely surround their car on the busy highway to trap the young boy. The driver smiles and warns that the teenager might be a highly dangerous poisoned gift sent to destroy them. Smiling coldly, the target notes that their pleasant conversation has officially ended and they must now part ways. The teenager asks him to be honest and mentions the massive threat of starting an armed conflict with his old group. Looking out the window, the young boy asks if the powerful target brought a whole convoy of goons because he is scared. Placing his hand on the driver's shoulder, the teenager whispers that his legendary group would easily crush them. Their fast vehicle eventually arrives at a dark and creepy abandoned amusement park far away from the busy city. Stepping out of the expensive car, the target looks around the empty area and mentions it has been closed for 10 years. Walking over to the back of the vehicle, the driver prepares to open the trunk since there are no witnesses around. Opening the trunk reveals a blood-stained bag that suddenly starts moving as the crazy driver explains his dark plan. The target brings up a highly confusing detail in the report about the female witness who survived the chaotic gunfight. He explains that protecting a random person instead of eliminating her is extremely weird for an elite killer. The driver mockingly asks the teenager if he actually developed some soft feelings for his pretty classmate. Looking deeper into the vehicle, our hero discovers the poor girl tied up in ropes and struggling to call for help. A wave of absolute shock hits the young assassin when he recognizes Choi Ha-yeon trapped inside the dark trunk. The smiling leader explains he wants to test if this high schooler is truly the legendary spade ace from Batala. A strange memory shows a silver-haired boy named Kino offering the young assassin a test to join their ranks. The target mocks him by saying that an elite contract killer would never be swayed by feelings for a schoolgirl. Holding a shiny metal spoon, the protagonist calmly asks if a larger portion would be better to settle this test. Meanwhile, his high school friends are completely shocked by a giant dessert tower standing over 100 centimeters tall. The tattooed leader tries to call their missing classmate, who originally insisted on ordering this massive sweet treat. Back at the abandoned amusement park, the dark sky looms over the rusty rides during this extremely tense standoff. The memory of the pudding test returns as our hero prepares to make his next move against this dangerous opponent. The target offers him a spot on their team while mockingly asking if a legendary killer really cares about a schoolgirl. Staring at a nearby spoon, the teenager responds with a bizarre joke about food portions to conceal his real tension. He realizes that the main target of his entire mission is currently standing right in front of him. Eliminating this opponent right now would instantly mean his grand assignment is finally complete. However, the young assassin begins to suspect that this person might just be a fake decoy designed to test him. With only a 50-50 chance of guessing correctly, he knows that attacking the wrong target is a massive risk. If he strikes a simple dummy, the real boss will instantly discover his true motive and disappear forever. Knowing he cannot make a reckless move, the student decides to play along with the target for the time being. The target wonders why the protagonist is hesitating before the black-haired teen suddenly stabs the trunk without warning. The gray-haired leader gets shocked that our hero actually did it, but the teenager calmly complains about the gross feeling. The chained girl suddenly smiles creepily while revealing that the hostage is actually just a fake duplicate. The teenager reveals he knew from the start because a perfect disguise can never mimic someone's real muscle density. A sudden microphone test echoes through the amusement park as the young assassin completely disappears from the scene. The broadcast speaker complains about his dull reaction, while confirming that the captured classmate was indeed a trap. The mysterious woman smiles and tears off her disguise to reveal that she is actually a dangerous traitor to the group. The revealed traitor is a former network member named Lee Daniel, who is currently tied up in heavy metal chains. Staring at the blonde boy, our young protagonist wonders if the syndicate has some kind of hidden motive for this meeting. Suddenly, a loudspeaker announces that both teenagers are actually at risk of being eliminated by the massive network. To settle the issue, the boss prepares a special match where only the sole survivor gets the chance to join his team. With the start signal playing, the crazy blonde fighter instantly unleashes a massive strike that splits a car in half. Looking at the wreckage, the bizarre teen smiles, while calling his destructive move a beautiful work of art. While his opponent gets confused by the weird behavior, the crazy artist swings his heavy chains to launch another attack. The crazy blonde killer boasts about turning all of his defeated targets into high-level works of art. He even shares a dark memory of using a target's family as creepy decoration for his twisted projects. Hearing this makes the protagonist furious as he realizes his opponent plays with the bodies of innocent victims. Calling him a total psycho, our hero launches a swift counterstrike to shut down the crazy teenager. The smiling artist takes the insult as a compliment while struggling against the tight metal chains. Dodging another attack, the blonde boy claims that a true creator must always possess a flexible mind. Getting extremely close, the protagonist asks what kind of art piece the crazy fighter plans to make out of him. The aggressive opponent unleashes another massive strike while detailing his creepy plan to preserve his victim. To deliver the final blow, the blonde boy confidently promises to impale our hero on a giant pole. Looking completely bored, the high schooler wonders if the crazy killer wants to turn him into a carousel horse. Finding the comparison highly insulting, the opponent tightly wraps his heavy metal chains around his fists. Suddenly, the deadly chains swing wildly and completely shatter the nearby wooden carousel into tiny pieces. Standing amidst the dust, the blonde killer proudly boasts that his work is on a completely different level. Asking what is wrong with plastic, the teenager suddenly kicks a massive horse head straight at his opponent. Easily blocking the flying projectile, the crazy killer claims that a true master never blames his materials. Feeling a sudden pull, the crazy artist looks up and gets completely tangled in a web of heavy ropes. He mocks the basic strategy but quickly realizes that the metal chains have completely locked him in place. Smiling calmly, our hero reveals that he actually trapped his opponent inside a massive star-shaped pattern. The protagonist jokes about calling it a magic circle, which completely ruins his opponent's artistic pride. The trapped fighter tries to break free but realizes the heavy metal poles are bolted down way too tight. Looking up to the dark sky, our hero calmly signals the arrival of a giant falling carriage from above. Staring up in absolute horror, the crazy killer gets completely crushed under the massive falling debris. A massive cloud of dust rises into the sky as the entire area is completely silenced by the impact. The dust settles over the broken ruins, while the young protagonist mocks his opponent's bizarre definition of beauty. Lifting the heavy rubble, the angry blonde fighter stands up and promises to show him a truly gorgeous masterpiece. His dramatic speech gets cut short when his foot accidentally presses a tiny toy dog that squeaks out a loud bark. Walking slowly out of a nearby gift shop, our hero apologizes while wearing a shiny tiara and holding a magical wand. The blonde killer gets extremely furious and declares that they will settle this with their own artistic tools. Pressing the small button on his plastic handle, the teenager casually notes that true art is always incredibly flashy. Smiling playfully, he prepares to start the next round of their duel with a massive wave of blinding brilliance. Ryu Kangmin shows off his glowing pink wand while jokingly explaining its magical demon-slaying features to the enemy. The blonde killer calls the toy childish, but the teen calmly replies that a true master never blames his tools. Laughing loudly, the crazy artist pulls a custom weapon made of deadly red thread straight out of his clothes. Looking completely disgusted by where the weapon came from, the young protagonist complains about the weird display. The psycho explains his special fabric is both delicate and sharp, while the lines easily slice through solid stone. Watching the statues crumble, the teenager quickly notes that the red thread is far from a normal battle weapon. While the boy plans his escape, the creepy fighter sneaks up behind him and wraps the sharp wires around his head. Suddenly, a massive wave of brilliant pink light erupts from the toy wand to completely blind the aggressive enemy. The glowing toy wand releases a massive wave of pink bubbles that get straight into the enemy's eyes. Our hero laughs about using holy bubbles to defeat evil while his annoyed opponent desperately rubs his face. The blonde fighter complains about cheap chemicals before realizing the young student has suddenly disappeared. Hiding in the shadows, the protagonist watches the boy and admits that his opponent has top-tier skills with weapons. He notes that mastering 2 different combat styles is impressive, but the crazy killer is terrible at tracking. After assessing the enemy's exact level, our hero decides that it is finally time to finish this fight. Suddenly, a red thread appears around the nearby statue, and his shoulder, leaving the teenager completely shocked. The teenager looks at the annoying red thread before the creepy opponent suddenly pops up behind his shoulder. Reacting quickly, our hero moves his body to dodge a sharp attack that sends his glowing toy wand flying away. The smiling psycho claims the sliced weapon was just a training dummy to help him prepare his final creation. He pulls his deadly strings to activate his ultimate move, but gets distracted by a strange toy sound nearby. Before the villain can react, a sudden flash of light goes off and a massive splash of red liquid fills the air. Our protagonist calmly asks how that felt while his bleeding opponent clutches his neck in total shock and anger. The dark-haired teen wonders why his defeated enemy is still talking about masterworks while staring at death. Groaning in intense pain, the wounded killer completely loses his mind and desperately flees into the darkness. The dark-haired teen follows his bleeding opponent until he reaches a creepy arcade zone building. Stepping inside the quiet room, he looks around and notes how desperately the injured killer tried to run. Finding his target panting on the floor, our hero mockingly asks if the thought of dying is actually terrifying. Instead of answering, the wounded artist compares the human body to a rusty old structure that slowly decays. Kneeling on the ground, he mumbles that the red thread between life and death can never truly be severed. Walking closer, the protagonist jokingly asks if his opponent is trying to switch his career to a philosopher. With a creepy smile, the crazy artist replies that standing at death's door has finally given him true inspiration. The crazy boy decides to pull down the massive amusement park ride so he can drag them both straight to the grave. Staring down at his bleeding enemy, the high schooler calmly says that the loss of blood is making him speak total nonsense. Suddenly, several red threads glide around the protagonist as the wounded artist prepares to seal his final trap. The blonde psycho declares that escaping is impossible while the sharp wires completely lock our hero in place. Struggling through his deep pain, the crazy teenager pulls the threads with all his might to activate the deadly trap. Coughing up blood, the insane artist laughs like a complete lunatic while calling this chaotic scene his grand masterpiece. Heavy metal bolts pop off as the massive rusted tower on the roof loses balance and begins to collapse from the force. Trapped in the tight red threads, our hero struggles to move as he reflects on the harsh fate of being a killer. He watches in shock as the massive tower starts crashing straight down onto the old arcade building. The smiling psychopath holds the protagonist tight while declaring that their mutual demise is a true masterpiece. Crying with a creepy smile, the blonde boy calls this final moment of embracing death his greatest work of art. A massive avalanche of heavy concrete and debris collapses straight down to completely bury both fighters. The dust slowly settles under the sunset sky, leaving the once lively amusement park in complete ruins. The young gunsmith arrives at the location and stands shocked to see the entire building reduced to dust. The dusty ruins settle under the sunset, while the defeated opponent whispers about choosing death in a real fight. The mysterious boss stands nearby and notes that he really finds this weird artistic style quite difficult to comprehend. While lighting a fresh cigarette, the black-haired protagonist calmly mentions that he successfully completed his assigned task. The leader agrees with a smile and recalls the strange test where he ordered the teenager to scoop up some delicious pudding. Looking around the amusement park, several cupcake rides and a giant teapot attraction stand in the quiet sight. That supposed dessert is actually the blonde traitor who is currently bound by red threads on a giant plate. Staring down at the ground, the bleeding fighter struggles to breathe while crying about his failed posthumous artwork. Clapping his hands, the smiling recruiter welcomes our hero to the secret network and promises to keep him safe from now on. The deal is made with a smile as the other guy promises to eliminate anyone without any hesitation. Staring back with cold eyes, our hero smiles and declares that he will also take down any target in his way. A few days later, the young assassin walks home while wondering why the mysterious network has not contacted him yet. Sighing quietly, he inputs his door passcode while planning to just relax and watch some short videos online. Opening his front door, he enters the dark apartment and instantly notices something is wrong with the quiet room. Glancing into the darkness, his eyes glow red as he instantly realizes there is an unwanted visitor hiding inside. While eating a sweet treat, our protagonist chats with his handler over a secure line. Looking around his secret room, the young killer wonders if that goofy student is actually the main target. The female agent notes that despite his weird energy, they still need solid physical proof to confirm his identity. Reaching into his desk, the teen reveals he secured a spoon with the enemy's DNA during their car ride. Examining the plastic bag, he thinks his opponent was either remarkably careless or completely unbothered. since they lack an original sample to compare it against. The boy asks about another favor he requested. The gorgeous agent responds that all the necessary preparations have already been taken care of. Inside the massive headquarters, the female agent waits for high command approval to send new orders straight to Korea. Late at night, two suspicious men meet up at a quiet harbor dock to exchange a dark briefcase. The older guy explains that he rushed the delivery to match the upcoming World Summit in 2 days. Opening the glowing case, the long-haired buyer boasts about bypassing heavy venue security to reach global leaders. The secret weapon turns out to be live octopus food as the boy types a comment on the viral short video. Brainlessly swiping his phone screen, the teenager watches one random online clip after another. A sudden system alert pops up to warn our hero that he spent 13 full hours lying around online. Lying lazily on his couch, the annoyed assassin complains that the syndicate still has not called him back. Walking down the Sunset Street, he checks his delivery app while complaining about waiting for the syndicate. Reaching his house, he picks up the delivery bag on his doorstep while wondering how to contact the secret group. Noticing the plastic bag feels unusually light, he decides to carefully inspect the attached receipt. Looking closely at the paper, he finds strange error codes that look like a broken printer receipt. The clever teenager quickly realizes the numbers are actually text converted into hexadecimal code. Flipping the paper over reveals a hidden symbol that proves this message comes directly from the network. Heading inside his apartment, the young assassin notes that the syndicate is being extremely cautious to avoid tracking. Examining the secret numbers on the receipt, the young boy realizes he needs a converter to read the message. Before entering his apartment, his sharp eyes narrow as he notices a suspicious detail on his front door. Our hero explains that his door lock is coated in special powder that leaves clear marks whenever someone uses it. Checking the keypad carefully, he spots the clear disturbance and confirms that an uninvited guest entered his home. Knowing a basic burglar would never be this careful, the teenager prepares himself for a dangerous confrontation. Reaching under his shoe rack, the young assassin quietly draws a sharp curved blade hidden beneath the wood. Stepping into the dark room, our hero gets ready to hunt down the hidden assassin waiting in the shadows. Entering his dark home, the boy complains about school while secretly hiding a sharp blade behind his back. His sharp eyes quickly scan the dark living room and kitchen to confirm that no enemy is waiting there. Setting his food on the counter, he pretends to act completely normal while continuing his careful search. Moving silently through the house, the young assassin checks the bathroom and finds the entire area empty. Turning toward the bedroom, he narrows down the exact location of the intruder to the dark wooden closet. To trick the target, the teenager pretends to search for his tablet so he can watch videos while eating. With a sudden explosive move, the young killer opens the doors and strikes directly into the dark hiding spot. Finding the closet completely empty, the young assassin wonders where the intruder could possibly be hiding. Hearing sudden running water from the bathroom causes the quiet teenager to lock his eyes on the closed door. Approaching the area, the boy realizes the enemy is using a special fixed-angle ambush strategy to bait him. This tactic uses light or sound to force the target straight into a deadly blind spot upon entry. Knowing how the trap works, the clever protagonist reaches for the door handle to launch his counter move. With a sudden surge of power, the young killer forces the door open in the opposite direction. Leaping into the room with his sharp blade, the elite agent prepares to strike the caught-off-guard intruder. Aiming for the intruder's lower body, the young assassin charges into the bathroom, but accidentally slips on a bar of soap. Crashing hard onto the wet floor under the spraying shower head, the young boy stares up in total shock. Looking up, he gets completely speechless to discover the gorgeous female agent taking a shower right in front of him. Meanwhile, at headquarters, the blonde leader notes that both elite agents arrived in Korea and likely already met up. Addressing her superior over a dark desk, Telephone the woman thanks the general manager for approving the operation. The mysterious voice notes that sending Spade Ace and Heart 3 together for one target is an unprecedented mission. Standing in the giant room, the leader listens as the telephone voice wonders if the two elites will actually succeed. On the phone, the blonde boss estimates a 99% success rate based on their raw combat skills alone. She adds that the remaining 1% strictly depends on whether the two agents can actually work as a team. Lying upside down on the wet floor, our hero remembers asking for backup and hilariously gargles out a greeting. Sitting under the running water, Heart 3 playfully teases the young assassin for busting down the door to see her. Their secret organization consists of 53 contractors ranked by a standard deck of playing cards. While deadly fighters like Spade Ace operate directly in the field, other members fulfill specialized support roles. Specialized agents like Heart 3 step in to support elite operatives directly on the ground during high-risk assignments. Disguised as a sleek government secretary, Spade Ace waits outside the grand building for his client. The wealthy founder of Zalabi arrives while the young assassin streams live video through his special glasses. Back at base, Heart 3 handles all the technical support, including hacking fake credentials and optical gadgets. Walking together through the spacious hall, the target admires the familiar view of the beautiful cathedral. Using optical camouflage and eye projection technology, the skilled hacker alters the entire building view seamlessly. While the target gets distracted by the strange illusion, our hero silently draws his pistol behind his back. With no traces left behind, the elite team seamlessly executes their plan inside the quiet building. The gorgeous agent teases the young assassin about rushing her to finish her shower. Unbothered by her playful words, the young boy simply interrupts her by offering a weird octopus snack. Sitting together at the table, she complains about his strange taste in food and asks why he broke into her home. The high school student explains that stepping outside is far too risky and asks if something happened. She playfully complains about rejecting guys who keep asking for his number, which leaves him looking completely unimpressed. Shifting the conversation back to their serious mission, the agent notes that he secured something very important. Holding the plastic bag with the spoon, the young assassin confirms he got the target's DNA and leaves the profiling to her. Looking at the evidence, the skilled operative reminds him that DNA alone is never enough to verify someone's true identity. She explains that without a proper reference sample to compare it against, she cannot perform any profiling. Deciding to treat this mission like a relaxing vacation, the female agent prepares to go on a shopping spree. Interrupting her fun, the young assassin smiles and notes that a skilled support operative never gets an easy day off. He reveals a freshly decrypted receipt that contains an urgent secret directive directly from the network. Decoding the hidden message leaves the boy in shock when he discovers that their new target is a massive big shot. Inside a dark cathedral, an experienced veteran calmly holds his blade against a fierce young assassin. Shouting in rage, the aggressive fighter leaps forward and unleashes a blinding flurry of sword strikes. Effortlessly stopping the relentless assault, the old veteran coldly warns his rival to know his place. The veteran easily defeats the young attacker while explaining that surviving endless fights proves real strength. This seasoned fighter is Kim Yong-soo, and his main job turns out to be a famous actor on a movie set. He is widely loved for his generous charity work and even manages his own massive talent agency. Heart 3 finds the target very strange and wonders if an angry anti-fan ordered this hit. Targeting a famous star is tricky because endless bodyguards and media attention make any move risky. Leaning back in his chair, our hero smiles because the directive only orders them to steal a secret item. The young assassin explains that he lacks gear for the burglary, but the girl reveals she already set up a workspace. Entering the room, the boy gets completely shocked to see an enormous workstation filled with advanced technology. Looking at the high-end printers and monitors, the young assassin wonders if all this gear is total overkill. The skilled support agent explains that the target private office requires his own personal authentication to unlock. Knowing this obstacle, the boy suggests creating a fake secretary badge, which should be an easy job for her. With a mysterious smile, the girl rejects his request because her official orders only cover tracking Lee San. The support agent refuses to help until the young killer pulls out a black card for an unlimited shopping spree. The sight of unlimited money instantly changes her mind, and she agrees to prepare everything for the heist. Later that night, the teenager stands outside Y Entertainment headquarters while testing their comlink connection. The skilled hacker explains that reaching the chairman office requires passing through 3 strict security steps. Visitors must verify their identity at reception, pass through security gates, and take a private elevator. Surprisingly, our hero breezes straight past all guard posts without anyone trying to stop him. Disguised as the chairman returning from a hiking trip, he walks right into the private elevator completely unnoticed. Disguised as the famous chairman, the young assassin jokes that this outfit beats hiding inside a restroom. Before they can hack the biometric scanner, his partner notices that the security system is already unlocked. Pushing the door open, the quiet teenager cautiously steps inside the pitch-black office. Looking down at the floor, he gets shocked to find the real target lying dead in a pool of blood. Examining the severe throat wound, our hero instantly realizes another elite contractor executed this job. Silence fills the shadowy room as he wonders if the sneaky killer is still hiding nearby. Suddenly, a dark figure appears behind him and presses a sharp fountain pen directly against his neck. At a local art museum, famous actor Kim Yong-soo hosts a special charity auction for the public. Standing on stage, he presents a rare 19th century Swiss music box to raise money for sick children. He explains that another actor dragged him to a dusty antique shop, where he discovered this valuable gold item. While describing the diamond-covered treasure, a mysterious hooded stranger suddenly approaches the stage. Wearing a gas mask, the intruder pulls the pin on a smoke grenade while mockingly asking for charity. A news broadcast later reveals that armed robbers broke into the auction while the actor feels glad no one got hurt. The news reveals that the unsold auction items will be stored directly inside the chairman's personal safe. Inside the dark office, our hero inspects the lifeless body of the target lying on the ground. Examining the clean neck cut, he realizes a highly skilled professional assassin executed this job. Suddenly, a sharp pen tip presses right against his neck from behind the shadows. The shadowy attacker mockingly asks if the teenager is trying to threaten him in the dark. Reacting instantly, the young boy counters with a powerful strike to break free. Blocking the weapon, our hero advises the attacker to strike directly if he really wants to kill someone. The shadowy assassin slashes wildly while the experienced fighter easily dodges the reckless strikes. Aiming a sharp pen directly at his eye, the older man counters inside the pitch-dark office. Holding his pen cap, the veteran complains that it is far too dark to see his opponent face clearly. Dodging another swift attack, he reveals he cares nothing for the chairman and demands to know the killer motive. The skilled fighter mentions that news reports talk about several hunters targeting the valuable collection. Ripping off a piece of dark cloth in the clash, the old man gets completely shocked by what he discovers. The old veteran loses track of his target after a heavy clash leaves the room completely quiet. Staring at the broken window, the veteran assumes the young fighter leaped out to avoid him. Meanwhile, our hero begins peeling off his realistic face disguise to breathe easily again. Unzipping his jacket, he reveals a 50-kilogram silicone suit that made moving extremely hard. Earlier that day, both agents visited a luxury boutique for their massive shopping spree. The female operative tries on different outfits while her partner rejects every single style. Sitting on the sofa, the teen orders every item in the store and makes the worker extremely happy. Asking about the security footage, our hero learns that the mystery killer completely destroyed all local servers and backups. Realizing how thorough the attacker was, the young boy remembers how they bought every single outfit in the store. Looking over the latest news reports on her phone, the skilled agent notes the killer is likely after the whole collection. The female operative mentions needing to find out who the killer is before making another move for the valuable items. Leaning back on the couch, the dark-haired teenager completely shocks his partner by revealing he already knows the culprit. Pointing directly at his jacket slider, the clever assassin shows a tiny hidden camera built straight into his outfit zipper. Hearing this unbelievable trick causes the teenager to sigh after going through all that extreme shopping earlier. When his partner asks about the culprit, he points his finger directly past the confused shop worker. He points at a poster of the famous star Baek Ji-hun and reveals that this popular actor was the assassin. The female agent finds it unbelievable that a famous celebrity could move like a highly trained contract killer. With a smile, she notes that this situation works out because both men owned a private safe for their artifacts. Resting his chin, our hero realizes that the actor definitely knows the exact location of that secret vault. His partner adds that the late chairman had no children and always treated the young star like his own son. She reveals that the famous killer is currently serving as the chief mourner at the upcoming funeral ceremony. At the funeral, the popular actor Baek Ji-hun stands silently in front of the portrait of the deceased chairman. Nearby guests whisper about how calm he looks since he shows absolutely no emotion after losing his father figure. While the guests gossip about their broken relationship, a single tear suddenly falls down the young man's face. Meanwhile, a past memory reveals a tied-up reporter crying in the woods and desperately begging for his life. The famous veteran actor Kim Yong-soo approaches and explains that the reporter holds dangerous evidence of his illegal crimes. The terrified journalist promises to destroy everything, but the veteran calmly reveals that an assassin is already behind him. A shadowy figure suddenly delivers a fatal blow and leaves the poor reporter completely lifeless on the ground. The veteran actor scouted the young killer after witnessing his terrifying talent and realistic execution firsthand. Impressed by his raw experience, the famous star offered the young assassin a chance to become a lead actor in his company. Returning to the present, the famous star sits inside his van while covering his emotional face in complete silence. A worried staff member offers to reschedule the movie shoot, but the quiet killer insists on continuing right away. With a creepy smile, the skilled killer decides to use his genuine sadness to elevate his acting performance. Stepping onto the historic filming set, the camera crew starts recording as the director calls out action. Kneeling on the cold floor in full costume, the young assassin delivers an incredible act to fool everyone on set. The young actor delivers a super emotional performance while begging for his people on the filming set. Watching through his camera, the director gets amazed by the talent until a sudden loud voice interrupts the scene. A royal guard steps forward while drawing his sword to confront the rebellious prince in front of the crew. Threatening him with 300 strokes, the guard reveals himself as our hero working part-time as a movie extra.